I'm back in the workshop today. I'm on my own and I'm doing some pond lights. So what we do is we get these discs that are laser cut. So they're 60mm I think in diameter. We do a 9mm hole in the middle. That's from the lasering company, and then when it arrives to us we just have to tap this hole to M10 fine, M10 by 1mm. And then we've basically already cleaned this in an ultrasonic cleaner. We've pre-baked, so now the next step is that we have to actually mask off the thread and powder coat. Actually, I say we have to mask off the thread. We don't. Or do we? That's an interesting question. We normally would mask off the thread. I think I will. I think I'm going to mask off the thread. So I'm going to just get some tape, and I just use paper tape. So bear with me 1 second. So I actually just use a bit of Hudson lighting tape. We've got some specifically designed for powder coating, some green polyester tape coming, and we've probably got some green polyester tape left over, to be fair. It's a little bit hard to actually. Do you know what? I'm going to use it. The problem with paper tape is that it can go kind of crusty and stick to the part, which obviously isn't really what you want to do. So the green tape is designed that it's suitable for the temperatures in the oven and will last. So let me just get these taped up. The hardest thing is with these is getting the tape the right size to fill the hole. It's about right. There's a very slight gap in, but it won't be a problem for the thread. So yeah, so that's one. 2 more to do because I'm making up 3. We've got two that are customer orders. One's going to be in our display box, just because we're sort of trying to make sure that we make enough spare for display. We haven't really done that before. We kind of thought, well, it's kind of silly to, you know, if you're doing all that effort to make 2 or whatever, it makes sense just to make a, you know, 1 extra just for the display. Now, I suppose arguably you could say, I can make loads extra, but the thing is that, well, I could do for bases, but at the same time the thing is that I try and prepare for anything that comes in custom colour wise and whatnot. And if I go ahead and just powder coat a load black and a load green and whatever, if I get someone that says, oh, I want something say custom like white, or maybe I haven't done any quartered or something, then I might be sitting on some parts that are green or black for ages before I actually sell them. And sometimes these are just left stainless steel, because these are 316 stainless. We used to do the bases in aluminium and worked out that the bases weren't heavy enough. Where's my gloves? Yeah, the bases weren't heavy enough, so we actually stuck with, regardless of. Put it that way. Let me get some new gloves. Now, you know that the way I spray it, and I might have said this before in a previous video, I might not have. The way I spray it is slightly unconventional to how you do powder coating, but it's because this isn't actually electrically charged powder coating gun. It's a, I think it's an electrostatic, but the static is generated by. Oh, I forgot to left these parts. Look, these are nice parts. The static is generated by the air travelling through the gun, rather than it being a controller. The downside of that is that you don't have any control over how much static you're putting in, so the more power that you put into the gun, the higher voltage, you can kind of like get into deeper corners that kind of generate what's called a Faraday effect. And I can't do that with this gun because, well, you know, it doesn't have any adjustment, it's just one thing. And to be honest, the gun works fine for us. So the 3 bases that we powder coated, I'm not happy with. Just to hopefully we can see this, but basically where I held the crocodile clip on the edge, despite taking it off and then spraying in after where the crocodile is, we've got this indent. You can actually see where the crocodile clip was, and there's also a very slight spot in here and on the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush these off, take the powder coat off, re-powder coat them. So it's quite a lot of trial and error of what I do. You know, when I started this business, honestly, I had no clue about how to make anything. I kind of just, there's a lot of, I say guessing, I guess educated guessing in some ways. And this is just characteristically one of them. So right now I'm changing the way I sprayed the parts. So what I'm going to do is I'm basically clipping onto here. I'm just going to do it like this, so then I've actually got no crop clip on it anymore. Now the only thing is I need to turn this one around. If I get to the back of this one, I feel like I'm going to be a bit cack-handed while I'm trying to do it. Let's see if I can get it here. No, although that's not particularly clever because it's nearly hitting that one. Let's do that there. There we go. Right, so that powder looks quite nice and neat. So hopefully I'm going to give these two a go and hopefully this comes out a bit better. Now, I'm hoping you're getting this, but this now is much more improved. So there you go. I mean, the way I just did it just then, powder coating the base with it hanging like that obviously works perfectly, and we've got a completely beautifully finished part there. So yeah, so I can get that now assembled along with the other one. So I'll get that together. Get the other one out as well. Yeah, we'll get that together and get that assembled and show you how it goes together. So just to show you, hopefully this will be in focus. So we've taken this apart. Sorry, I've got like some heat stuff on my thermal compound on my hands, but it's completely dry inside, which means it passes the 24-hour test. So yeah, so once we take it apart, we put it back together. And it's pretty simple. It's there's on the optic there's these two little pins. They line up with this hole, and this is if we've got a standard optic anyway, at least, or wide. The top pops on, and the top's got kind of like a centering ring on it anyway to stop it from flying off where you don't want it to fly off, and it just basically screws together, and that's it, and it's back together. So it just needs to just give this little clean up, and then I will assemble it onto the base. And that'll be the fitting finalised. So with our hinges we developed our own ball joint system, etc. So normally most manufacturers use the same Chinese ball joint. So if you actually look really closely at any fitting that you might have, you'll notice that majority of the ball joints are very similar, and that's because they come from there's a couple of Chinese manufacturers that basically make them. So we anodise, machine and anodise a little washer that we make on our machine, and a little threaded section that we also make on a machine. This actually has an external thread and an internal thread. Now the idea is that we use a tool that inserts this in there. Now unfortunately my tool, the thread is completely stripped off of it, and it was mainly because we actually did the thread slightly incorrect size. So this is being a little bit awkward for me, and it might be sometimes the powder just catches the start of the thread, so you can't quite get it in. So, but basically my insertion tool temporarily is a failed vertical long spike, which it sounds a little bit crazy, but basically it works really well. And I might, because of this, I might actually 3D print a insertion tool rather than a machine one. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, so we've got a spring in there. We've got a washer in there. So that screws up. So you can see, I mean, this one part of the light is made up of 3 machined parts and a spring. You know, just for the hinge. It's kind of crazy, really. But yeah, so we basically insert it just past the hole that's here for the cable outlet. I'll take that out. So you can see the washer's up here now, and the spring's just behind it. So if I now grab the fitting, so although we deburr the ring, etc., I just give it a little spray of silicone. just to help glide the cable through. So if I just take this cable and we just basically insert through there, and then I've just got to feed up the cable. So it's 3 meters of cable, so it's just going to just take me a sec or two. Things. Right, so here it is, the head going into the hinge. So what we do is we go 90 degrees to the side, push it down, all the way down to there, and then rotate 90 degrees round to the front, and then let it push up, and that keeps it in place. And that washer allows it to rotate quite smoothly. So I still need to clean this up. So I'm just going to get the base out the oven now, and we'll see how that's come out, and just make sure that that's powder coated okay. Hopefully we'll assemble the last bit of the base. Right, so we've got our replacement pond light base, which is this. So basically we take our brass insert and just screw that in. Now this brass insert isn't one that we machine, it's just one we buy. And then I've left it on at the moment just to do its final test. But yeah, so we just screw our base in. And again, you know, this kind of represents how everything's kind of replaceable on these fittings. So now I just need to literally just clean this fitting up, and we're done. But so on with the cotton gloves. I'm just going to sort the lead. So I'm going to just let the fitting just hang there. Just get this a little bit longer, around about there, and I just do the coils just to kind of get this in line. And then I use hemp string. So it's compostable to tie off the cable. So that's our cable. I'm just going to basically loop it like that. Let me just grab some hemp string. And now we've got two final parts to this. We've got a label that goes on the cable end that just tells you that it's 350 milliamp connection only. Do not connect it to 230 volt directly. And tells you that red is positive and the black is negative. And finally we have some 221 Wagos that go on the ends. Now we used to put all our fittings in boxes. So I'm going to give this just a wipe over in just a second, but yeah, we've stopped doing boxes where we've run out of boxes. Now you're going to wonder why. Now the reason being is A, cost, and B, environmental impact. So normally the boxes we would use, cardboard, etc., although they're slightly laminated, etc. But still, you know, it's going to be an energy and resource waste when using them. So we've run out of those boxes now. We decided not to purchase them. The cost of them were about $2.50 a box, so they're really expensive anyway. I could go to China or India or wherever and get boxes made cheaper, but I don't really want to do that. And ultimately the box goes in the bin anyhow. It's not something you're going to keep. So we decided just to now wrap these in paper, that's like a paper bubble wrap, to protect them, and then obviously that's something that's a little bit less environmentally impactful. We have still got around about 600 boxes for spike lights to get through, which are a much thinner cardboard, and again, once we've gone through all of those, we'll stop doing those boxes as well. But yeah, that gives you an idea of how the pond light goes together. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and comment below and just let us know what you think, any suggestions for any future videos, etc. See you soon.